Hey there, you, me, and DC fans, and welcome if you're new. I am the stepson of Krypton.
Mantis.
That guy's Mantis. And
I was
today,
gonna do this, but I realized I do that at the end. So
sure ending sign off. Can't do that yet. Okay, today
Okay.
we are discussing brief video. We're going to make this one really short though, because we haven't actually seen Captain America 4: A Brave New World, and
We
I'll tell you right
haven't,
now, I'm not going to.
but
Not in theaters.
but critics have. I'm not either.
Critics have, and the news is interesting. Mantis, are you ready to get into that discussion?
I'm ready to wade in this big pile of. Stuff. I was gonna say stuff, and then it's yeah.
Yeah. So then there is some interesting stuff to talk about here when we talk about Captain America. Now, guys, we've done several videos on Captain America 4, from it taking an extra year, doubling the time and filming for reshoots, spending more money than any other Marvel movie other than the couple of the Avengers movies, like I think Infinity War and Endgame. Now, at time of recording, it's going to release tomorrow on Valentine's Day. Critics have seen it. Several people have gotten early screenings to it. And the reviews are, I mean, it's holding at about 50%. I think Rotten Tomatoes has it at 51.
Yeah, and like I will just say I didn't even realize that tomorrow was Valentine's Day. Like, who
Or
in the hell
Singles
decided?
Awareness Day.
The looming specter of Valentine's Day fast approaching. The two key ingredients to my favorite day of the year, February 13th, Desperation Day.
That's not.
I mean, who decided to release this movie on Valentine's Day? Like, I mean, maybe I'm crazy. Like, I'm single. Like, I don't have a wife, girlfriend right now. So it's like, even if I had one, like, this is not a movie I would take her to see to be like, get her in the mood for some,
And you want us out because you're anticipating coitus?
I'm not anticipating coitus.
So she's available for coitus?
after extracurricular activities. This is definitely not the movie I would pick to do that. So whoever on Marvel's marketing side, and let me just say, I'm not giving DC any passes on the marketing department based off what I saw on the Super Bowl marketing for Superman. I'm just saying this is not the day I would pick to release this movie. Or tomorrow would not be the day. Valentine's Day would not be the day I would pick to release this movie.
So Valentine's Day, I think, still holds like the record on days for like most proposals. You know, even though a lot of girls think it's very cliche and stupid. I don't imagine you're at a theater, you kneel down into some sticky mess of a floor, and you try to propose either at the beginning before it starts or at the end. You probably want to do the end in case she says no. Otherwise, that's a weird, like, all right,
Yeah.
are we still gonna sit
Like,
together?
I'm not I'm not wasting my money. This was like $18 for this ticket. Like,
right? So you peel yourself off the floor. She said no. So I gotta imagine it is a little weird to release on Valentine's Day. It's not now, but if you think about it though, for Marvel, it's not the first time. Deadpool released on Valentine's Day. Okay.
that's weird too.
Wasn't really a movie that people would consider a Valentine's Day movie, but Deadpool released on Valentine's Day, so maybe that's just
There's some
their
love.
thing.
I mean, I could be wrong. Doesn't he say it's a love story? Maybe I misremembering the first Deadpool movie.
And yeah, technically this is a murder. But some of the best love stories start with a murder. And that's exactly what this is. A love story.
So the first Deadpool, he says, this is a love story. Second Deadpool movie says, this is a family movie. Because he's like, all family movies start with a vicious murder. Especially with Disney.
Okay,
But
that's funnier
this
then. It makes sense why I did it. Okay.
This isn't their first time doing that, right? So they've done especially on movies, you're like, well, okay, sure. But so right now, Rotten Tomatoes has it at a 51 on the tomato meter, which if you are familiar with Rotten Tomatoes, you have the tomato meter, which is the critic reviews, and then you have the popcorn meter. I just hit that mic. Sorry, guys. It's probably going to sound terrible. That is the audience reviews. Now, obviously, there's not enough people audience-wise that have seen the movie because it's releasing tomorrow. But critics right now, yeah, it's a mixed bag. I will say a couple of the comments that we did read on there did say that it's passable, and compared to the other things Marvel has released lately, it is the upper layer of the shit, right? Like, so it's kind of just that, like, maybe it's the nasty water where the shit's sitting right below it, but it's got like some kind of like film of shit. Best way
It's
I can
kind of
explain
like
it.
it's like it's almost like McDonald's to an extent. Like if there's nothing else available, it's like there's McDonald's. So you eat it and it's okay at first, and then like 30 minutes later, you're like, I should not have done that. I feel like shit after eating that, right? Like because it makes sense with the 51. Like for instance, like I like the articles, the editorials for Rotten Tomatoes are usually done where they ask certain questions to the critics and they answer them, right? So in this instance, like the question they ask, is it worth seeing, which is kind of the overall in my head when I'm watching a trailer, or if I'm looking, if I go to Rotten Tomatoes and I see the scores, right? Like that's basically the main question I'm asking. Like, am I going to spend my money on this film and go see it? Or even if it's on after that, if it's on streaming, is it worth the 2 hours to sit down and watch this? Or should I just go, play League for an hour or two? Like that, like
And he
that's
will.
really what I'm saying. And I will. But it's like, is this worth seeing? Because you mentioned the 51% tomato meter, which kind of lines up with some of the comments that the critics kind of left for that question. The majority of Brave New World hits often more than it misses. I felt Captain America Brave New World is a satisfactory addition. It's got a few things going for it. It has nothing to say about the world or its characters, and it's never even fun.
That took a completely different turn.
Yeah, Captain America is reasonably diverting time filler that fills what it is, a pit stop in the rebooting of the Avengers story. It's fun enough. Like to me, it's like
It's fun
it's
adjacent,
purgatory.
like
It's like purgatory. It's not good, it's not bad. It's so.
so-so.
This isn't bad. It's not that good, but yeah, it's not that bad.
It's so-so. Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut
more
that
or
Family
less.
Guy. I'm gonna cut that
Yeah,
Family Guy.
I mean that's what I'm getting from these comments. Like, that's not exactly a stellar, like, compelling
Shut up and
argument
take
for
my
me to
money,
go.
right? Like, I gotta go see this movie.
Right. Yeah, like I'm just not. And again, I was telling Cal this before we did this video. Like, I don't know everyone else's scale on what they choose to go see a movie. Like, what is the reason you would go see it? Is it the trailer? Okay, the trailer's got to be good. What about the release date? That's got to be good? The stars? That's got to be good. The characters? That's got to be like. What is it for you? For me.
Well,
Oh yeah,
and
go
let
ahead.
us know, guys. Let us know before he launches into what's for him. Let us know, what is it for you? What makes you get out of the house to go see a movie in theaters and pay those astronomically high prices and sit next to a bunch of random strangers? What is that for you? Because I'm just curious, right? Just for the
Yeah.
community here. But Mantis, please continue.
Yeah. So it's a combination, right? Like it is, I have to be interested in the content, right? I mean, necessarily not the actors or actresses involved can draw me to it, but it could steer me away from it. But one thing I will say that is not a determining factor is the fucking critic scores, because as we've seen with, I don't know, maybe over the past 5 years with, and again, I'm not trying to go political here with you guys, but the woke nonsense of some of the movies that have come out in the past 5 years got great critic scores, and the audience reviews were terrible, and the movie was terrible. So, like, these critic scores, I know this is like pointless because again, 51% is kind of down the middle, and evens. Like I just read off to you, some of these comments is like they didn't even want to go one way, like it was terrible, or no, it was great. Like it's literally kind of down the middle. I wouldn't take anything from it, even if you could take something from these comments. Like I'm just a person that do not believe in the critic scores
Now,
most of the time.
here's one thing I will say about critic scores. And we have done a previous video where we I mean, we didn't do a fucking in-depth explaining of it, but we did compare some movies with the critic score versus audience scores on the MCU side of things. And the one thing I will
Mhm.
say with critic scores is typically if critic scores are high, we see audience scores go decently low, right? And then it's vice versa.
Mhm.
If their audience scores are really high, we get lower critic scores. This is what it seems like. Now, when I
I
say
agree.
that, we sample a very, very small amount of movies. So I'm not saying
Oh
that's the
yeah.
case across the board. I'm just saying, like, we were looking at some of the superhero films, right? Both DC and
Mhm.
Marvel. And that just seemed to be the case more often than not. Again, very small portion. I'm not saying that's how it works across the board with audiences and critic reviews. I will say this though, one pattern we did notice is usually when it's in the middle, one of them's in the middle, the other one's kind of right there too, right? So everybody
Mhm.
just kind of thinks it's, to borrow a term from Mantis, meh. It's meh.
Meh. It's kind of meh.
you
Yeah.
know it's
Yeah.
that, right, where like we were just alluded to, it's so, it's not bad, it's not good, but usually if it's in the middle, if the score, like one of them's in the middle, the other one is kind of right there, right? So everybody just kind of has the same feeling. So I tend to believe that one a little more, just because we have seen, again, just by what we've researched. I'm not saying that is the thing. So just before you go down in the comments there. Um, I'm just saying that's what I have witnessed myself personally on those few things. So I kind of feel like audiences are going to respond the same way. Now, we have said before on previous videos too, like I didn't go see any of the Captain Americas in theaters, right? It's not a movie like it has to be like Avengers level type movies for me to want to go see in theaters. Now, like when the new Superman releases, I will go see that in theaters. Um, but so there was never a chance of me going and seeing this movie in theaters unless somebody who actually has the ability to on the channel says, "Hey, we sent you free tickets," and then okay,
That would be
sure.
different. Yeah. Sure.
Is that
Yeah.
going to
You send
happen?
us free tickets,
Hell no.
we'll do
Uh,
it. But yeah, that's
you
not
know,
gonna happen, I'm sure.
yeah. So, and that's not us asking. It's not. I'm just saying. If there was a sponsor out there, like one of the movie, studios or something like that, and they're like, "Hey, take a chance on a small channel."
Yeah.
Pipe dream.
James Gunn, I know you watching. Shoot us some Superman tickets. Because apparently you guys think he fucking watches this. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Then we're his fanboys. Um, but it is just, to hear that is what the audience or the critics are saying about it, and that this is the best of what Marvel has put out lately is a sad state. I'm hoping, we're putting a lot of hope into the DC reboot with the Creature Commandos, Superman, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow coming out, and all that stuff. I'm hoping that they're gonna do a reboot with the Fantastic Four, um, leading into Avengers Doomsday and then Secret Wars. I'm hoping, Marvel's going to get its reboot too, because the thing is, guys, I know we talk a lot of shit on here about Marvel sometimes, but I love the first three phases of the MCU. Like, yeah, there were some
I
misses,
agree.
and Thor: The Dark World
Or
was kind
two
of,
is
was meh.
eh,
It's kind of back where we're at,
eh,
right? It's meh. But I do love Natalie
eh.
Portman, so I'm gonna give her a pass on anything just because she's absolutely amazing.
The
Um,
concept is cool of that movie. The execution's just not there, right? That's
yeah.
what it is. Yeah.
So, and then how, like, years later, this immensely technologically advanced society of basically gods couldn't get the ether out of Jane, but a raccoon can with a goddamn syringe. We won't go into that, guys. We're not going to do it. But so like I would love to see even Marvel come back. I mean, I got some Marvel going on here, right? I would love to see Marvel come back to kind of its roots, um, where they were putting out, quality movies
Mhm.
and TV shows,
Yeah, I will
right?
say, one of the other things that because I was reading through some of the questions on the editorial on the Rotten Tomatoes of there's just various questions. How's the action? What about the visual effects? Which I will say, if you've been a fan of this channel, been subscribed to this channel, my disdain for terrible CGI. Which again, like I was discussing with Cal before this, he found some comments that said the CGI wasn't very good. What I saw said it was pretty good.
No, what
That
I
was
saw said the shots, the like
oh,
the
okay.
shots look shoddy, right? Not the CG.
Okay,
It was just
not the
saying the
CG.
shots
Okay.
looked. Nobody mentioned
Okay.
the CG itself. It just said
So
it
maybe
looked shoddy, is what they said. So it could be the
okay,
parts that aren't
maybe
CG.
yeah, maybe the CG, because all the comments that I've seen say that the CG uh was good, which is kind of refreshing, quite frankly. However, there is one other very important aspect to this, which kind of would factor, and this would factor in for me on an MCU film or really any film, because as we know with comic book films, there's not only Thor 1, 2, 3, and 4, there's Iron Man 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's multiple iterations, sorry, three, of these characters, right? So the question has to be asked. I hit my mic, hopefully you didn't hear that. The question has to be asked: do we need to be fully caught up on the MCU to understand and enjoy this film? Right? The at least the critics' answers are: it does feel like the Incredible Hulk 2. There is quite a bit of exposition here, making it feel like they were thinking people would have seen The Incredible Hulk, and that some viewers will be dropped into this as their first Marvel movie. With so much backstory, including Disney Plus miniseries, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, now woven into the Avengers saga, Brave New World is a movie, you may go into wondering if you've done enough homework. So some of these comments lead me to believe you may, especially on the Falcon Winter Soldier, it's going to do you some help there if you've seen that series on Disney Plus. It sounds like there's some Eternals connection there, while not very like a whole lot, but it probably could help you to have seen that terrible movie as well. So I don't know if you want to go watch, and I've not seen Falcon Winter Soldier. You've seen it. Is that worth watching?
So here's the thing. There are a couple of overarching themes in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier that are, I feel like, pushed a little too hard, right? And when we say that, there's some of, I won't call this wokeness because I mean it kind of is,
Sure.
but like there are a few things that I'm like, okay, dude, you could dial that back at least 10%. Like that's not how things are right now. Like let's be real. But the
Reshoots.
overall, do
Sorry.
what?
I was saying reshoots.
No, but the
They're never gonna say it. That's why they reshot some of this shit. Anyway,
but
continue.
the overall idea behind the Falcon and Winter Soldier, I did like the story, and I did like when Sam finally gets the shield and he's training with it, and I thought that was cool to see because he tries throwing the shield and it does not do like when we see Steve Rogers throw it at first, and he's trying to
Perfect.
learn how to throw, bounce it, and catch it, and all that stuff. I love that. Like that was my favorite part is when we actually see him training with the shield and the physicality portion of it and everything. And then when we see what happens with John Walker and why, like, you know, it was so important that Steve Rogers got the formula. Um, I thought all that stuff was great, and even the things with Bucky. I wish they would have dialed a little bit more or dialed back a little bit more of the like. We didn't need the whole racism thing playing like. It's like, no, dude,
Hmm.
they didn't want to give you a bank loan because you show no income over the last 6 years because 5 of it you were blipped, right? You don't have the financial stability. Now, I don't know why Tony Stark and all them aren't paying you any fucking money,
Yeah,
but like,
that's what I'm like. What the fuck, dude?
but like, why are you going to a bank for a loan? Ask Tony Stark Foundation. Like, it just none of that made sense.
Yeah.
It was like it was all done to push a narrative of they're just keeping them down. I'm like, no, like let's dial that back a little bit. Let's focus on the story. Let's keep that out of it. Um, that was kind of my thing. Was I just feel it was pushed a
Mhm.
little too heavily. That's just my personal opinion. But the overall series, I actually liked a lot of the story of Falcon and
Okay.
Winter Soldier.
So maybe it sounds like, at least from what I'm reading in these comments from the critics and Cal, maybe watching that series, the miniseries, is a good option there to kind of set some of this up, because it does say there. Ian Sandwell from Digital Spy does say you won't feel like you need to do your homework, which I beg to differ from the other comments on, at least on the Falcon Winter Soldier part. Some of the storylines that came out of that. However, he does say rewatching the Incredible Hulk may not be necessary because they do conveniently recap that at the pre-title newsreel. So if you're paying attention in the the title, the credits at the beginning of the film, apparently, if you pay attention to some of the news reels going there, they kind of recap what happened in the Incredible Hulk. That's why they're saying it feels like it's an Incredible Hulk 2, continuation of some of the storyline themes inside the Falcon Winter Soldier. So, um, you know, uh, that's kind of a bunch of bullshit. So, yeah, it sounds like if you really want to know what's going on and not feel like you have no idea and maybe would turn you off to this film within the first 15 minutes, watch the Falcon Winter Soldier on Disney Plus before you go into the theater to watch this film. Um, you know,
So the interesting thing is that, when Marvel talked about doing a soft reboot after Endgame, it was for this reason right here, is because now you have all
mhm.
these series coming out, you have all of these movies, and people who were just coming into the universe, other than reactioners, they're loving it.
Oh yeah,
They felt overwhelmed. They felt like, hey, I don't want to watch 30 movies to have this make sense, right? And then a couple of TV shows and everything, right? There is too
yeah,
much homework to do. And the ironic thing is, we were just talking about this in the last video
we
we
were.
did, where we were talking
Yeah,
about the comic books on the DC side, at least was what the focus of that video was, is that a 30 to 40 issue run is like, I mean, that's 3 to 4 or close to 3 to 4 years, because every month a new issue comes out. Like, that's a long time to invest in one run and try to do a collection, right? Like, and if you miss a couple of
yeah,
them, then it's hard to like backdate it. So it's like, now they're doing like with the Absolute Universe, it's like, oh, these guys are getting a 5 issue, 5 issue, 5 issue, and then we're going to go on to a new story within the same universe. Whereas I feel like now that's kind of like what uh Marvel needs to do is, okay, we need to dial it back a little bit, get away, and because that's what, at least that's what a lot of people were complaining about. I was like, I don't want to do all the homework of watching 25 to 30 movies
mhm.
and TV shows to know what's going on. Hulk has a more of a unique problem because we've only seen a couple iterations of the Hulk in movie wise. There's the 2003 with Eric Bana, 2008 the Incredible Hulk came out with Edward Norton, and then we didn't have a Hulk movie after that. It's been since 2008, and we changed Hulks, even though it's the
Yeah.
tied in. It went to the Mark Ruffalo,
It's
which is a completely different Hulk, but it is in this
different.
universe. It's the same, right?
Yes.
Which is weird.
That's what's messed up. It is. It's like, so this Hulk is the Edward Norton Hulk. Like, that's the same universe that we're talking about here.
Yeah, because even in the original Avengers movie, when well, they're all talking about, hey, we need you to come in, and he's like, last time I kind of broke Harlem, right?
Thanks, but the last time I was in New York, I kind of broke Harlem.
That is what happened in the Edward Norton Hulk, right? He's fighting
I just
Abomination. They have that. They're using that. That was the same thing, because even in the Avengers, when Phil Coulson's going up to see Tony Stark, and he gives him the computer,
mhm.
and when he puts it up there, you see the clips from the 2008 Hulk.
This.
Plus,
Yeah.
obviously at the end of that movie, we saw Tony Stark come in there at the very end, that post credit kind of scene.
True.
So that's all tied
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
together, but they just changed it to Mark Ruffalo and completely changed the look of the
Uh,
Hulk in comparison. So very weird, because we've not
It's
had a
confusing.
standalone Hulk movie since.
I think
So
the problem is, again, you've seen the Hulk played by the same character or by the same actor for so long throughout all these Avengers movies that now all of a sudden you're referencing a different one, a different actor, a different storyline is very confusing. So
well, the thing is, it's kind of like we haven't discussed anything with Hulk. Like I said, there's not been a standalone movie since 2008. So
mhm.
are people going to know about Abomination and what happened? Where did Red Hulk come from? Like, now you got a lot of things to try to explain and backdate.
Which I said they supposedly do in the pre-title credits there with some news clips. So I'm assuming you'll see Liv Tyler in there,
Yeah, but here's
probably.
the thing. Marvel has proven to me, at least to me, guys, and let me know how you feel, but like, and we talk about like what I loved about the original like first three phases is it was so methodically thought out, right? Like,
The
there was so
continuity, yeah.
much, yeah. They're like, hey, this happened, this happened, this happened. Then we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, and I'm a bigger DC fan, but I will admit, I can obviously admit that Marvel did it better than DC. They brought them all out
Oh,
in
yeah.
their own
Not even
individual
close.
stories. Everybody got their own individual movie, and then we did an Avengers movie, right? They did it great. They did all this stuff, and they were doing so great. And then came Captain Marvel. She came in there. We're like, oh, what we're going to do is we're going to put Captain Marvel in the past in the 90s where it's going to make no fucking sense. It's going to ruin almost every story we have out there as far as timelines and all this other stuff. So, what you've proven to me, Marvel, is you can't go back to the past in our already created universe, right? Like it was different in Captain America, the first Avenger, because we went back to fucking World War II and there was no other movies other than Thor, which
Right.
had already, they went way in the past, so it's fine,
Way in the past.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So you've proven to me you can't do that and do it well. You fuck things up, you destroy the continuity, the timelines, and all this other stuff. So I don't feel confident now you're going to try to backdate what happened with the Hulk in this movie and do it
Again,
successfully.
It's confusing, I think, to at least people that have seen that Hulk, and if they suggest rewatching it. But it's like you have Edward Norton that plays the Hulk, and then you switch to Mark Ruffalo, right? And then you also have, technically, what's his name? Thaddeus Ross is, his character is technically in that movie as well, and now you're switching him out with Harrison Ford. So, and maybe that's not a big deal breaker for a lot of people. I'm just saying it's from a continuity standpoint, it's kind of confusing of why switching characters and why maybe they at first decided against it with Black Panther and they didn't want to kind of go that route with Chadwick Boseman. It's just
R.I.P.
It sucks. It sucks because it's again these movies span so long, and if you're not gonna reboot it, then you're gonna run into issues like this. So, yeah.
I don't know. Like, I feel like if you would have had a standalone Mark Ruffalo Hulk in between here and there, maybe it would
It
do
would have
better.
helped.
It would have helped.
It
But
would have helped. Yeah.
also with Captain America, I don't understand the need to bring in Red Hulk right now. But that's just me. Like again, you haven't even explained Green Hulk to a lot of people. To the MCU, they don't even know Green Hulk
I know.
that much.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, now we're bringing in Red Hulk. It's a weird, it's a very definitely
This movie
unique way to go about things.
Yeah, I will say my last comment on this before we wrap up is some of the comments mentioned it being a bastardization like combination of Incredible Hulk 2 and a continuation of Falcon and Winter Soldier that just is like this mesh of nonsense that doesn't make sense. As well as we've talked about before, there's so many reshoots. Who knows how this movie's flow is going to end up being, but
So what I didn't realize is, so at the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier, we see him in we see him in his Captain America outfit, right? And I wasn't a fan of it. We did a video on it, and we're like, oh, hey, it's great that they're doing it differently in the movie. Well, they don't really. Well, not all the way. Like the original
Right.
outfit from Falcon
What
and
they
Winter
showed.
Soldier's in the movie,
yeah.
and then I guess it changes. Now I like the changed outfit where he does look like it. So I don't. It'll be interesting to see what audiences think of it, guys. By the time this video posts, let us know if you've seen it. What do you think of it?
Yes.
Let us know. Do you think, because this video is not going to post. I just dropped one right now. This video is not going to post before the movie releases. So let us know if by the time it does, if you have seen it, is it worth a watch? And I mean, like two different things, right? Is it worth the watch when it comes out on streaming? But is it really worth the watch to go to theaters for, guys? And if you are fans of the channel, you know what it takes to get us out into the fucking theaters. So don't fucking lie to us and say, yeah, it's worth the watch and fucking hype it up and all this other bullshit. And I get in there because then I'm just gonna roast you in the fucking comments. Roast you.
Yeah, I will be upset. If you say it's worth, if we get multiple, again, one person saying it's one thing,
100%.
we get multiple people saying that it's worth going and watching, and we go there and it's garbage, I'm gonna be really pissed.
Now, I will say this: if we get like 5+ comments that all from different people all saying we need to go see it, and we go, and it turns out to be terrible, I'll actually be kind of impressed that you all ganged up to do that. So, I'll be kind of mad, but then also kind of impressed as well too, because that's a nice bit. But don't do that. Don't do that. It's
Don't
bad.
do that. That's just it's.
I'm
we
gonna
wanna
say though,
trust
but
you.
like that's kind of funny because
We already,
I would kind of do the same thing. But don't
yeah,
do
we
it.
already have trust issues. So
Oh.
just don't do that. Don't do
Yeah.
that.
So, but what you should do is, and actually, I realized we did not do that in
You
the
didn't do
previous
it. Yeah.
video.
It's
What you
okay.
should do is, if you've made it with us this far, consider giving the video a like. He's going to do the altar as to where. Go ahead and subscribing to the channel because you might as well. If you've made it this far, you're liking the video. You obviously
Mhm.
are insane like us, so you might
Yeah.
want to see more.
Some mental
So
defection.
yeah, and it's okay. We accept that here because we know that's what's going on here.
Yeah.
And then having the bell clicked so you'll see all the information that comes out not only on the MCU side, but we're obviously more heavily on the
Or
DC side
DC,
of things
really.
and all this other stuff. We do the Marvel stuff as it's fun. I mean, I like I said, do like the MCU stuff, but it's
Mhm.
just not our. I mean, I'm always going to go DC first.
DC MCU is not my bag, baby.
It's like one book written by Mantis Tamaga. It says, "This sort of thing is my bag,
It's
baby."
my bag, baby.
One book, Swedish-made penis enlarger pumps and me. This sort of thing is my bag, baby. By Austin Powers.
By Mantis
Quickly,
Tamaga.
quickly.
Yeah, exactly. So I will cut that in here. Most of you are probably gone by now, so it's fine. It's usually when we do our crazy shit as at the end of it.
Yep.
If you're not watching. So that is going to wrap it for us on this episode of You, Me, and DC. Until next time, guys, we will see you then.
Later.